Gandalf and Dumbledore look so similar that fans confuse their actors.
You remember the late lamented Michael Gambon? I said, do you ever get mistaken for me? He said, no, the whole time. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, I just sign your name.
But their physical similarities are ironic, given that the characters themselves are opposites. You might think that's an exaggeration. Since they're both elderly wizards, how different could they really be? The answer is that even the term wizard emphasizes their differences. Despite calling Gandalf a wizard, Tolkien was frustrated by the term, saying, quote, "My wizards are not, in any sense or degree, shady. I am under the difficulty of finding English names for mythological creatures. I would rather that readers took them even with the false associations than not at all." Simply put, Tolkien was worried that people wouldn't understand that his wizards are, quote, "utterly distinct from sorcerers or magicians," that people would confuse Gandalf for someone like Dumbledore. But to truly understand how the characters invert each other, we need to look at their different natures. Tolkien describes Gandalf as a divine emissary, one of only 5 to walk Middle-earth, whereas Dumbledore, despite his natural talent, has the same magical background as Crabbe and Goyle. They were school kids who learned spells. Tolkien's wizards don't study to increase their magic. Being of the same order as Sauron, the very act of coming to Middle-earth reduces their power, since they were, quote, "forbidden to reveal themselves in forms of majesty, or to seek to rule the wills of men or elves by open displays of power. But coming in shapes weak and humble, were bidden to advise and persuade men and elves to good. And as easily as magic is given to them, it can be taken away."
Saruman, your staff is broken.
Tolkien himself said that Gandalf is so angelic that he never makes a single moral mistake. Dumbledore, however, is less morally pure. A much closer Lord of the Rings comparison would be Boromir. They're both naturally gifted human beings who are willing to make morally gray decisions toward their flawed perceptions of the greater good. For example, Dumbledore's questionable plans to send Harry to his death. This is another surface similarity between Dumbledore and Gandalf that, when actually examined, reveals their huge differences. Because yes, both wizards technically send their small British protagonists to their death. But where Gandalf is completely transparent about the quest and Frodo is a consenting adult,
I will take the ring to Mordor. I do not know the way.
Dumbledore is, to borrow a term from Tolkien, shady. Despite my own fondness for Dumbledore, he does enact a multi-year plan to kill an unconsenting child. But let me finish. Never mind, that's everything. He weeps while asking Harry, quote, "Can you forgive me? Can you forgive me for not trusting you, for not telling you? Harry, I only feared that you would fail as I had failed. I have known for some time now that you are the better man." It's ironic that it's this scene where Dumbledore is least like Gandalf as we discover the extent of his mistakes, where The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter as stories are most similar. Tolkien once described what is arguably the biggest theme in the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. Quote, "It is the view of this tale and mythology that power, when it dominates or seeks to dominate other wills and minds, is evil." Through Dumbledore's failures, Harry Potter as a story endorses this view, because the confession that destroys Dumbledore the most is when he coldly, bitterly, and resentfully describes how, "You cannot imagine how Grindelwald's ideas caught me, Harry, inflamed me. Muggles forced into subservience, we wizards triumphant, Grindelwald and I, the glorious young leaders of the revolution." The fact that Dumbledore spends the rest of his life trying to redeem this time where he pursued dominating power feels very Tolkien-esque. It's thematically consistent with The Lord of the Rings that Dumbledore's redemption comes when he realized, quote, "Power was my weakness and my temptation. I was fit only to possess the meanest of the Deathly Hallows. I was fit to own the Elder Wand, and not to boast of it and not to kill with it. I was permitted to tame and to use it because I took it not for gain, but to save others from it. But despite their vast differences, there are two things that unite Gandalf and Dumbledore. Things that might invalidate my entire video.
Oh, yeah. Big gray beard, pointy hat.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more.